We will begin with a land acknowledgement. Please give a warm welcome to Green Butterfly Woman to start us off in a very good way.
And say hello. My name is Green Butterfly Woman. I also go by Nadine Shalafu. I want to welcome everybody today to our International Day for Persons Living with Disabilities. I too require a walker myself to get around with my disability, as well as having mental health disabilities. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day today to spend here and enjoying each other's company and learning something new. I want to thank, the ancestors and creator for bringing in a beautiful day outside for us to enjoy as well. It is a new day. It is a new way of bringing people together. And even though we're online, we're still all together. I want to thank the land for which we live on, which is Treaty 6 territory, Miskatchewan, which is Edmonton Beaver Hills House. If it weren't for these places, we wouldn't have a place to gather or to be. I would like to thank as well Creator for bringing the warmer days for winter for us so that we are able to get around, even though it's slushy and not easy for some of us. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a good day. Hi.
Thank you, Green Butterfly Woman. And now we would like to introduce the chair of the Premier's Council on the Status of Persons with Disability, Jacob McGuire. Welcome, Jacob.
Hello, everyone. I can go by McGuire if everyone needs me to.
Sorry.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad so many people have been able to celebrate IDPD in 2024. This incredible virtual event is a testament to what those living with disabilities and the people in their lives can accomplish. International Day for Persons with Disabilities was established in 1992 by the United Nations. In 1992, near the birth of the modern internet, no one could have imagined how much the digital age would mean for the disability community. Our connected world has revolutionized communication, transportation, daily living, socialization, and more. It has helped those with sensory disabilities see and hear in ways that weren't possible before, and done monumental things to raise awareness and help lessen the stigma of those living with invisible disabilities. My name is Jacob McGregor, and I'm the chair of the Premier's Council on the Status of Persons with Disabilities. Council was established in 1988 to advise on, report to, and make recommendations to government on matters relating to opportunities for full and equal participation of persons with disabilities in the life of Alberta. As chair, it is my hope that we can make Alberta the most barrier-free place in Canada where all Albertans not only live but thrive and flourish. One of the most fun parts of this job is to recognize amazing people who are making that happen. Earlier today, at the legislature in Edmonton and at other in-person events, Premier's Council presented 4 awards to outstanding individuals. I personally had the honor of awarding the Margot Bruner Award to Shelley Jacks. And this person is doing such wonderful work in the community. They've been nominated for this award many times, and it was my honor to finally give it to them. Now, I'll wrap up because we have some amazing things to get to, and everyone who knows me knows I could fit our whole 2 hours on my own. Thank you once again to all of you for logging on this evening. Everyone who worked so hard to put this event on, and our other wonderful presenters. We truly have so much to celebrate today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacob. We want to briefly thank all the presenters and artists who are joining us today. Lindsay Paul, White Eagle Woman, Colleen Peters with Peter Mary on trumpet, Elizabeth MacDonell on piano, and Phil Calderbank on bass. Hilary Chapple, Michael Wing, and Kat Hedges. Please welcome our first speaker, Lindsay Paul. White Eagle Woman is a proud Cree, Métis, and Mohawk medicine and knowledge sharer from Michael First Nation in Treaty 6 territory. She is also a first-generation Canadian with Dutch heritage and the adopted mother of 5 children with disabilities. With over two decades of experience, she empowers organizations to foster culture safety, inclusivity, and meaningful allyship through Indigenous-led framework. Lindsay?
Thank you, Christy. First of all, I want to acknowledge how amazing you're doing. So keep it up. I know you worked really hard yesterday too, and I watched you practice and practice. So you're doing amazing. And thank you for that lovely welcome. And thank you, everybody, for the warm invite. I see 70 people, and there's also groups of other folks. So nice to see you. I want to start out by being so proud of this community, folks with disabilities. I have a disability, multiple disabilities myself. I had a late in life ADHD diagnosis, but in grade 3, I was diagnosed with an encoding decoding deficiency, which means reading and comprehending is incredibly challenging. And my parents were always there advocating for me and making sure I had the right supports in school and the right people around to make sure I was safe and getting the right education at the right time. Unfortunately, there were a lot of hurdles in that where I was put down, I was isolated, I was separated, I was put in different areas that didn't allow me to get the education that I deserved, that other folks got. But also in that, I got to meet some of the most incredible human beings of my life and make long-term friendships in those groups and spaces that I got to be in that a lot of people didn't get to experience. So I'm both humbled and I guess just love being around peoples with disabilities and myself sharing those. My first job is a flight attendant. It's a very safety conscious required job that needs a lot of reading, and I got through that. And I've been a flight attendant for 23 years, and I have advocated for people with disabilities in the workplace, which is incredibly important. Also, Indigenous rights within the workplace. But I think my biggest accomplishment is being a mother of 5 kids with disabilities. So they have fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, which is a cognitive disability. And the advocacy work that we do day in and day out for supports for them is tireless, and navigating those can be very challenging for them and also us as a family, because as much as people want to talk about all the great advances that there have been in place, there are still a lot of hurdles that we face as a family. And it's so important that we continue to push the boundaries and expectations of the medical system, listening to parents, listening to the individuals themselves. Just because there's disabilities doesn't mean that folks don't think independently and have creative thoughts and have amazing problem solving skills, have amazing futures ahead of them. It just has to look a little different. And that is what makes the world the most beautiful place that we live in right now. So I think it's important that we advocate and push and not sit back and allow doctors and other specialists to shape the future of our family and friends and loved ones. Because I think we, as the people with disabilities, or if you're the support network of people with disabilities, that they make the decisions of what their future looks like. And we listen to them and we follow their lead, because they know their bodies better than anybody else. And they know their needs and wants and desires better than anybody else. And we need to uplift that and hold that and love them fully in all parts of who we are and where we belong in the world. So thank you so much for being here. And being an advocate is the greatest gift that I can have. I know I was told I had 5 minutes. So the one story I want to share, and because I find through storytelling as Indigenous people is the best way to explain how the world should work. I want to share a story that my grandmother gave as called it's a buffalo teaching or bison teaching. And the one main thing is out on the prairies, especially in Alberta, we all know a good scary prairie storm. And you can see a storm coming from miles and miles and miles away. And can be sometimes really daunting and scary. And all you see, all the wapos, the bunnies and all the squirrels and deer and all these other animals running the other direction. But the bison, they're so big and there's so many pre-contact. There's so many. They couldn't run and hide because on the prairies, there's nowhere to hide for big animals like them. So what they had to do is they put the young, the old, those who may need a little extra help, didn't matter what gender or what position in life. If the buffalo that needed help, they went in the middle, and the biggest and the most powerful went on the outside. And they would go very tightly together and they would squeeze together, and they turn and face the storm because they knew generationally and historically that on the other side, it's refreshed and cleaned from the water, and there's a rainbow and a new beginning. And they know that they have to face the storm together, because if they turn and run, the storm will just continue to chase them and they'll never get away from it. But if they turn and face it and go together and go through the storm, they know it won't be as bad for as long, and all the goodness will be on the other side for them. So I think in the disabilities community and the Indigenous community and any community that we live and work in, we need to put the ones that need the protection in the middle, and all of us who can take it on the outside and be the strength, protect and squeeze tight and work together and walk together. Nobody faster, nobody slower. We walk together through the storm, because on the other side is the safety for all of us. So I hope at the end of this that's as advocates and people who are engaged, who have disabilities, who are finding their voice, that we give the shelter and really listen to the bison and the teaching of the animals in the land, because all the answers are there. And we need to really break down these structures of oppression and harm, and bring a new light to the world from Indigenous perspective of this land. So thank you so much. And everybody, you work so hard, and I'm so humbled to be here. And great job, everybody. And my cousin, I think she's Califoo. I'm a Calihoo. So Calihoo's, Belcourts, Latange, lawyer, all you out there, you're all my family. I love you very much. And all our non-Indigenous participants, thank you for being here. And all my love.
Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay Pole, White Eagle Woman. And actually, Lindsay, just to base off the bison story, I like how you said the disabled community has to come together and strengthen and go through the storms, because you're right. You go through a storm and it's always greener once you get to the other side. So yeah, that I found pretty awesome. Now, please welcome Colleen Peters. Colleen is an activist and multidisciplinary artist and proud cat mama. Colleen wrote a song to Shut the Door on January 12th, 2024, and has asked some friends to help her present it for IDPD 2024. Colleen pre-recorded To Shut the Door, a song about living with your whole heart, featuring Peter Mary on trumpet, Elizabeth MacDonell on piano, and Phil Calderbank on bass. It is a song about living your life with a whole big heart, and Colleen is proud of the closing line, that you hold the stars. Colleen and Peter perform pre-recorded audio via voice memo.
Door, a song written by Colleen S. Peters, artist at play. Don't look at the sun, my love. Don't bleed through your heart. Take love as it comes, my love. Take love from the start. You're the one who shuts the door. You're the lone who folds the quilt. You're the one they say, my dear, that you hold the stars. Don't forget to pray, my love. Don't forget your heart. You are passing on, my dear, seeds that warm the stars. And you alone, my dear, can possess this art. Tell your story then, my dear. Open up your heart. The sun, my love. Don't bleed through your heart. Take love as it comes, my love. Take love from the start. You're the one who shuts the door. You're the lone who folds holds the quilt. You're the one they say, my dear, that you hold the stars. Don't forget to pray, my love. Don't forget your heart. You are passing on, my dear, seeds that warm the star. You and you alone, my dear, can possess this art. Tell your story then, my dear. Open up your arms.
Thank you, Colleen Peters. What a musical treat. Our next presenter is from Calgary, Alberta. Please welcome Hilary Chapple, a queer advocate with lived experience of homelessness. Hilary has a long-standing commitment to enhance the quality of life for members of the LGBTQ2RS community and populations impacted by poverty and homelessness. Please give a warm welcome to Hilary.
Yes, good afternoon. I was born in England and emigrated to Canada when I was 5 weeks shy of my 17th birthday. This was in March of 1977. My mother was a Canadian, my father was English, and I have a brother and sister who is now deceased. My sister is. I came out fully as gay at the age of 24. I'm a queer woman advocate with lived experience of homelessness. I've had a long-standing interest in enhancing the quality of life for members of the LGBTQ2S community and populations impacted by poverty and homelessness. In my work, I engage and collaborate with community agencies and non-profits, and I am a lived experience member of 2 national research teams, Women's National Housing and Homelessness Network and Aging in the Right Place, and 2 Calgary grassroots committees. I was a co-researcher on the study of beyond housing, and I'm featured in the documentary. About 6 years ago, about 4 years ago, I led my own research project on the intersection of sexual minority status and homelessness, from which I developed a training toolkit based on principles of trauma-informed care, inclusivity, and diversity. I've had an interest in teaching this nationwide. I developed a fully functional day and a half training program, which at this date never came to fruition. I offered a presentation to interested agencies on how to be more inclusive of LGBTQ2S homelessness, and I never managed to teach this nationwide with my day and a half training plan, and I only taught the smaller plan 3 times, which I got paid for. I accidentally deleted my flash drive, so I don't have it anymore. My disability entails my lumbar region of the spine, where the vertebrae are fused together, and I have scoliosis of the spine. I've been diagnosed with osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. I also have arthritis in both of my hands. On the 25th of November, I had a spine assessment of my spine, and I should know if I qualify for back surgery very soon. I became permanently disabled in late 2019. I'm not getting the surgery now. Personally, I've not noticed much on social media about PWD, either on TVs or movies. I do not read that often, which I should. However, watched a Christmas show on Hallmark once about a father with 2 daughters who was in a wheelchair. chair, excuse me. It's a very entertaining movie. I also have watched several shows with actors who are Down syndrome. There are several episodes pertaining to this and other mentally challenged children in the show Highway to Heaven with the late Michael Landon. Also, Special Olympics does a great job in showcasing the talents of these amazing people. But I have a question. Why do folks without a disability make fun of folks who are mentally challenged, especially folks with Down syndrome? It is cruel. Just a question I have, I also want answered. In closing, my niece and I were talking one day, and she made me think even if folks think they understand your disability, unless they have the same affliction, they really do not, including your spouse. My niece also has a permanent disability, so she knows. Thank you.
Thank you, Hilary. And Hilary, when you mentioned like the disabled population not being included in like movies and TV shows, like, yeah, they're starting, I think, to come out with TV shows that portray the disabled community more. But you're right, there is not there aren't many movies or TV shows that portray the disabled community. So thank you for highlighting that. But folks, feel free to jot down a word or two in the chat about what makes you proud. Your efforts will be part of a group art piece we will reveal at the end. Now, please welcome our next presenter, Mike Wing, who is a person with disability, who is a strong advocate for people with disabilities and mental health issues. He identifies as part of the LGBTQ2R+ community, creates content about disability-related issues for YouTube and TikTok, and is a loving husband to his wonderful spouse, Charlie. Take it away, Mike.
Thank you very much, Chrissy. I also want to echo that you're doing an amazing job. Yeah, so thank you to everybody that's joined us. I am a content creator, as well as a disability advocate, as Chrissy mentioned. And I create content. I have a YouTube and TikTok channel called The Anti-Ableist. That try spotlighting the one with the image. Not the image. Yeah, that one. There you go. No, I don't want to join audio. Sorry, folks. So I would like to share a couple of videos with you. The first one that I'd like to share. There we go. So this first video that I'd like to share with you is about internalized ableism. So hopefully you can hear it. Hey everyone, working on a video for YouTube tonight. And I started thinking about the concept of internalized ableism. Ableism, of course, being ableism that happens within the disability community. And yes, that does happen. And unfortunately, I've even seen it where internalized ableism creates a hierarchy within the disability community. And I got to thinking about my own life, about growing up having a disability, having a rare disability at that. I have a disability called Charge syndrome. And luckily, a lot of the medical problems that I had growing up have disappeared, and my only disability from Charge syndrome are visual and hearing impairment. However, growing up, I had a family member who would tell everybody, their sister, their third cousin twice removed, and the cashier at Walmart about all of the medical problems that I had when I was a baby, and about Charge syndrome. And even if I would ask them not to share that story, they would still do it. And this happened so much that I started to feel like having CHORD syndrome was the equivalent of wearing some atrocious looking outfit. I had a fear that if people knew that I had CHORD syndrome and they looked it up online, they would suddenly start looking at me differently. Even though I know that most people wouldn't care. Most people probably wouldn't even look it up. Unless they were really that interested. And you know, of course, there's people out there that would be interested and would also look at me differently once they knew. Especially considering that everybody with CHORD syndrome looks the same, which is unfortunate. Well, no, that's not unfortunate. What's unfortunate is that when multiple people have the same disability, that is how you can tell that they have that disability. That's the part that's unfortunate. But the point that I'm trying to make is I thought that I was so different from everybody else that I was somehow less than. That I was an alien from Neptune. And that I would never be normal, I would never be in a relationship, I would never, you know, all of these things. I would never have friends, all of these things. And because of that, I started to repel my disability. In fact, I haven't said publicly being on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, that I have CHORD syndrome until now. And when I started to repel my disability when I was younger, I had this belief in the back of my mind that I wouldn't tell anybody, but I had this idea that I was better than other people with disabilities. I had this idea that all of the things that were wrong with me due to CHORD syndrome still made me better than John or Jessica or Stephanie with a disability. I was still better. And that was because it was so stigmatized when I was growing up. Stigmatized to me. Thankfully, because I have met so many amazing people, so many amazing disability advocates and allies and my wife even, I have come to realize that all of that is bullshit. We are not defined by our disability. We are defined by who we are as people and how we treat other people in life and in society. And one thing that I never understood growing up, that when I think about it now and how light of pool it is, I get blown away. Disability is so complex because no two people, just like anyone, no two people are alike. One final thing that I want to say on this is I think that it also has to do with language. Intellectual disability, cognitive disability, complex needs, special needs, disabled. Yes, I'm one of the only people with a disability that does not like the word disabled, because none of us are broken. Saying that somebody has an intellectual disability is like saying that somebody is dumb. Their intellect is not the same as other people. Well, I know a lot of people that don't have disabilities and their intellect is not like other people. That's why I think the term like neurodiverse is actually really good. And I wish they would get rid of neurotypical, because none of us are neurotypical. Everybody on the face of the planet is neurodiverse. And we need to stop segregating people into their own little corners, because it doesn't help. It doesn't bring us together. All it does is push us far apart and put us in little boxes that we don't fit in. So my point is that internalized ableism is not good. It's not healthy. And I'm glad that I don't have it anymore. I'm glad and grateful that I've met the people that I have who have helped me get rid of that ideology, get rid of that smelly, stinky outfit and get it dry cleaned, and now it's fine. Yeah. So let me know what you think in the comments if you're still watching this at this point. I appreciate you.
So yeah, that one video that I did, probably one of the most difficult videos that I've made. And then I just want to show you two more little short videos. And one of these videos features another amazing disability advocate who's with us today, Amber Cutter. So thank you, Amber, for being a part of this. Okay. Hang on a second. Here's the first one.
For adults with disability, of course we need to be talked to like we're a child. For people with disability, of course our needs are special. For people with disability, of course we can't be employed. For people with disability, of course we need our support staff to hold our hand while we walk across the parking lot. For people with disability, of course our support staff can't accept small tokens of appreciation from us. For adults with disability, of course we're vulnerable people that are taken advantage of. For adults with disability, of course we can't be in a relationship. For adults with disability, of course we can't be parents. For people with disability, of course we fit inside a textbook. For people with disability, of course we deserve to live in poverty. For students with disability, of course we should be put in a special class. For adults with disability, of course we have to live in an institution with other people with disabilities.
We're nonverbal people with disabilities, of course we can't communicate.
For people with disabilities, of course we're inspiring. For people with disabilities, of course we need help from random strangers without our consent. For people with disabilities, of course you're allowed to touch our mobility aids without our consent. For people with disabilities, of course we don't want to be included in society. For people with disabilities, of course our accessibility needs are important.
We're people with disabilities. Of course we don't understand anything.
There was a Barbie named Becky who had a disability. She was in a wheelchair. However, they decided to discontinue her when she wouldn't fit in the elevator that, was actually made for somebody with a disability, and there was no ramp for her to use. So instead of making the world a better place by showing how accessibility should look and how we should be more inclusive of people with disabilities, they discontinued Becky. Because, people with disabilities don't matter that much. It's only, 1.6 billion people with disabilities in the world, according to the World Health Organization. But, that doesn't matter. Our accessibility needs don't matter. Maybe the movie that they should have made was about how Becky in the wheelchair, made the world a more accessible place and a more inclusive place for people with disabilities. How about doing that for your next $1 million movie?
So, yes, those are just some of the videos that I've made. My YouTube and TikTok channels are called The Anti-Ableist. I will put the link to it in the chat in a minute. But yeah, feel free to watch and subscribe. And I'm changing things up a bit. I'm making it more collaborative. Because I want to bring more voices into the conversation. So, thank you very much. Happy IDPD, everyone.
Thank you, Mike, and for all the presenters and artists. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please raise your virtual hand using the hand symbol at the bottom of the screen, or put a note in the chat with the word ask, all caps. We will call on people to unmute themselves and speak one at a time.
First up is Angie Brown.
Sorry, I went to switch my laundry over and I got soap on my face. Oh. Anyways, I was trying to say to earlier, I agree with Hilary. That, oh my gosh, sorry. That making fun of other people's disabilities, invisible or non, is really cruel. I was actually also bullied the other day when I was walking out of my work. At McDonald's, I got made fun of my height. I'm what you call a little person, and it's also part of my disability. I go up to Hilary's elbow. Okay, that's how small I am. I go up to Alex's elbow too, so that's how small I am. But I agree with everything that Mikey and Hilary said today, and I'm very sorry about joining really late. A lot of tech difficulties, and I'm supposed to be the geek. And don't ever get soap up your nose. It hurts. Not trying to mean Ow. Happy IDPD, everybody. Ow. Ow. I know my guy. I mean, I walked right into that bazinga. I walked right into that one, my guy. Oh gosh, this hurts. Ow.
Judy Noonan, did you want to share that information? Judy, you put something in the chat about a book. Do you want to share that information with us?
Sure, yes. Sorry, I'm on my phone. I got in late too, and it's my body. It's not a prayer request, and it's ableism in the church, and I don't have it right with me right now. But if you look on it online, I'm hoping you can still get it on Amazon. But it's written by a person who lives with a disability, and I just got it just a little while ago. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thanks. Victoria Lemaitre, you're next.
Okay, I have Self-Advocate has helped me out by being able to say stuff and show stuff where I haven't been able to do that, or I haven't been able or capable of sharing it. And it's actually kind of nice. And it's helped my life because I share Self-Advocate every day, and it helps everybody out. So thank you.
Actually, I would like to thank Hilary because, sorry for whoever said the disabled piece. I think that was Mike. What I found really hard growing up is I grew up in a very, very small town, and I went to school for majority of my life that was extremely small, and I was the only disabled person to walk through those doors at that time. They didn't have any remedial classes for me whatsoever, although they did try their best to help me. They eventually had to switch me over to another high school that would be able to accommodate my needs. Now, that being said, it was really hard because of the bullying. So it's really hard to see yourself not as a disability when you're getting bullied and being told, "Oh, you're dumb, you won't be able to achieve much," and all that. So to know that there's other people with different disabilities, but disabilities just the same, it actually helps me feel more inclusive with the friends I do have. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. Thank you to all who shared their comments and questions with our esteemed guests. Please give a warm welcome to Kat Hedges, a lifelong advocacy.
Christy, I'm so
I think
sorry.
we have
I
a
don't
couple
know if
more
you see the hands
questions.
that are up.
Oh, pardon
Yeah,
me.
there's a couple hands
Sorry.
up here. Chrissy, are you able to see the hands?
Someone's got a ton of feedback. Sorry, I have sensitive ears.
Jacob McGregor, I think, is next.
Yeah, Jacob, if you wanted to go.
Yeah, hey, I was just gonna briefly ask Colleen what inspired her song. It was lovely, by the way.
Um, songs are like gifts. I was just like taking a bath one day and this song came out, so I was writing it down as fast as it came out. And there was no one person or an incident that inspired the song, but thank you for the compliment. And it was a real pleasure working with other musicians. Well, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but it was I was very happy to share it with everyone.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike Wing is next.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on what you said, Chrissy. I had a similar experience in junior high school, and it was in small town Alberta, and the high school that I would have had to go to, it wasn't accessible. So, and they didn't really have any like accommodations for people with disabilities. So I was really, really lucky. I got to go to Leduc and go to Leduc Composite High School. And that high school literally saved my life. It shaped me into the person that I am today, and I'm eternally grateful for that school. So thank you for
Ditto for
sharing.
me.
Yeah. Then I think we have Ruben next.
Ruben, yes, Ruben Hansen.
Yes, hello. I just wanted to bring up that growing in my later teen years and still now, I have suffered from anxiety, and that has been generalized anxiety and generalized social anxiety and also a panic anxiety disorder. And experiencing that when you don't know what it is scary. You don't know what's happening. Your mind is racing a mile a minute. You feel like you're gonna die, and you have to get out of wherever you are at all costs. It's not something I wish on my greatest enemy. I'm very fortunate enough to have found a medication to help me with my anxiety and my panic. Although there are times that I feel it well up inside, so I'm able to make decisions that help. Yeah, thank you.
Is there anyone else?
No, there isn't.
Okay. Okay.
Angie Brown
Thank
has
you for
raised her hand.
Sorry, Kathleen. Siri off. Off. Anyways, Ruben, you are doing really awesome and you sound better. But I was diagnosed with PTSD and depression because of COVID, and in my community we had a very how did I put it to you, Alex or Mikey, if one of you remember, I think it was a catastrophic flood and coupled with trauma in my life. So going through the path of finding help, and I can kind of not relate to Ruben, but very little kind of relate. But I've been having a lot of support lately through the Disability Action Hall with our advocacy group, the SAF as well. So I want to thank you folks as well on here that I consider my tribe. Because my circle of people, or my table legs, as my counselor put it, I would not be where I am. And Mikey, again, I know I said thank you plenty of times to help me start my business. Michael Wing is an instrument on starting my weather business and my storm chasing business. So he is a very big instrument. So yes, I just want to say that's, you're doing better from what I've seen, Ruben, and I'm very proud of you for sharing that. And thank you folks for understanding the tardiness of me joining.
Is there anybody else? Sorry, I'm having a bit of a hard time seeing if anyone else has their hands up. No? Okay.
Nobody else. We should
Okay.
move on.
So,
Thank you all.
Interrupt briefly. Before we do end, we'd like to show a video. It's a last-minute edition, but it's done by our friends at the Staying Connected Network in Ontario. And they did a video, and some of them are here with us today. So welcome everyone. I see a few of you are on, and if it's okay with you, I'd like to share their video. Okay, just give me 2 minutes to queue it up. It's ready to go, but okay, here we go.
Belonging means having a safe space, being included, being able to be a part of something. You're being valued, you have a say, you're being listened to. You feel like you are a contributing member to society.
And to be accepted as a person by everyone else in the community, to be known as a person and not seen as a person that's not able to do different things.
You're part of groups that you want to be part of, not ones where you have to fit in. You shouldn't have to feel like you're being judged by others.
Being treated as equal, whether that be a person with an intellectual disability, physical disability, or a person with a different skin color or different nationality. We bleed red. We're all the same.
It doesn't matter who it is. We all belong.
I was wondering if you could live in peace and not have these wars that are going on now in the world, and try to live in peace with each other and
try to get along with everybody, regardless of who they are and what religion they are or what kind of disability they have. I wish people could just get along with each other
and try to work together
and show everybody love.
Without fighting and carrying on, I think this would be a lot better world.
A leader leads. Ones that take the first steps. They're the ones that are the motivators.
We are all leaders. We all have our story. We all have something to say. Just looks different. We're all leaders. And as a different leader, different gifts, different abilities, and we all are important.
We shouldn't be judged for just having a disability.
Just because you have a disability, there's nothing wrong with you.
Even though we are not perfect, we are still people.
Treat everyone with respect and equally. People with disabilities have the same rights as everyone else. You are loved and you matter.
Just keep on going forward.
It may be hard, but everyone should and shall have the choice to be the person they want to be.
You have the power to make the decisions and decide what you want to do in your life.
Don't let anyone say that you can't do anything. You can and you will.
And happy International Persons with Disabilities Day. Belonging means having a
Okay, please give a warm welcome to Kat Hedges, a lifelong advocate who does grassroots community action on Treaty 7 land. Kat has strategic communication and media design expertise to mobile communities for effective organizing, sharing their lived experience to contribute to poverty and harm reduction and realizing a barrier-free Alberta. Kat will talk about art and advocacy, as well as about the art created for the Barrier-Free Alberta Accessibility Now rally.
All right. Thank you so much, Chrissy, for the introduction and being just an absolutely amazing MC today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And many thanks to my fellow presenters for sharing and all the work that you do in the community. We wouldn't be here without you. Many thanks to Green Butterfly Woman for starting this off in a good way, and to the Premier's Council on the Status of Person with Disabilities for sponsoring this event, and to all of the wonderful disability advocates and organizations for facilitating Alberta's virtual celebration in 2024's International Day of Persons with Disabilities. So again, my name's Kat Hedges, and I come to you today from Treaty 7 land. And I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the peoples of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Districts 5 and 6. I'm going to be talking about the intersection of art, accessibility, and advocacy today. I'm autistic with a mix of ADHD. I'm a very, very strong visual processor, and I struggle with audio processing. In 2009, I was in a car accident where I acquired nerve damage resulting in dexterity issues and a chronic pain disorder. I'm also active in recovery from substance use and alcohol use disorder. If you haven't already guessed, everyone, I am incredibly fun at parties. That is, if we share similar interests and are in a sensory-friendly, sober environment. While my disability and my diagnoses are not my only identities, I do think they're the primary reason that I gravitate towards digital art, online communications, and virtual events, because I'm able to fully participate in community while staying in control of my sensory and social environment. So this year, I had the pleasure of working with Barrier Free Alberta, largely through online meetings, which made it very accessible for me. Barrier Free Alberta is a committee of people with disabilities and our allies, which has emerged from the Alberta Ability Network's Human Rights Table. And we have one main purpose at Barrier Free Alberta, and that's to advocate for strong and effective accessibility legislation. Legislation means it will be law to ensure that every Albertan living with a disability has the opportunity to participate in all aspects of a complete and meaningful life. So today I'm going to tell you a story of our signs and how these signs were thought up and revised and finished by the members of the Barrier Free Alberta Committee. And I facilitated the design of these things, doing the actual physical work on the computer on Canva to bring these ideas to life, so to speak. And how we addressed accessibility throughout the entire creation process, and how our art style is shown throughout these signs, and how we kind of got to where we are today and where we're hoping to take this in the future. So we started with words, slogans, things that we could narrow down that would be visually impactful, memorable, and that we could use as hashtags and chants. So it needed to be cross-medium for us to play with these words. Now, if we look around this slide deck here, at the top, we have red and white words that were around these signs that I will display here. And I've used them in a way to exemplify that you can use visual elements in different types of ways to express similar ideas. So some of the phrases that we considered were access now. We had accessibility now, which ended up being the name of our rallies in Edmonton and Calgary. We looked at equity equals barrier free and something like silly, like live, laugh, love, and access. We wanted memorable, right? So the phrases that we chose are the future is inclusive, access rights are human rights, and time for accessibility now. So let's go through and look at some of these things together. So first you'll see we chose universal access symbols to communicate accessibility. So around the edges of this slide deck here, starting on the top left, we have the symbol for ASL. These are all in black and white, and we wanted them to be, they're pre-designed to be accessible, and importantly, they're recognizable. Above the ASL symbol, we have one for chronic pain, which is a small circle with lightning bolts coming out around it, almost looking like a flower. To the right, we have the audio description symbol, which is a oblong black box with an A and a D, and what we call motion lines, which I'll talk about a little bit later, to represent audio in that description. To the right of that, we have the symbol that is for Braille, which is a hand with an outstretched index finger on Braille dots. And to the right of that, we have a profile of a human head with an infinity symbol inside, which is the symbol for neurodivergence, such as autism, ADHD, and other things like borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder. That brings us down to the bottom right. Sometimes my spatial orientation isn't great. And we have the mental health symbol here, which is another profile ahead with a brain in it. And below that, we have a picture of not an anatomical heart, but like the cartoon heart with a medical plus sign inside to institute mental health. Below that, we have a symbol of a wheelchair, a person in a wheelchair. And to the left of that, we have the symbol for it's a sunflower, which is the symbol for invisible disabilities. To the left of that, we have sensory, a symbol that shows sensory differences. There's a picture of a brain, and around it is symbols of all the different senses. So we have one with a nose for smell, a hand for touch, an eye for sight, an ear for hearing, and a mouth for taste. And to last but not least, to the left of that, we have the symbol for closed captioning. So we were able to take these symbols and turn them into something else to exemplify that we needed accessibility now and that the future would in fact be inclusive. We'll move forward here. Excellent. So we wanted to ensure that we were practicing inclusive visual design practice. So notice here that we do have high contrasting colors, and that was really important to us. But what we did and what that helped us ensure that we had accessibility woven throughout this entire process was that we were constantly talking to each other in the group. When you get a bunch of people with disabilities together, it's amazing the things that we can do. And I think that this exemplifies what we want, right? We want everyone to have access to participation in all sorts of things, but especially in sharing their voice in the political and social space. So one committee member noted that the red text was hard to read for people with visual needs. Additionally, folks with dyslexia noted that it would be easier to read with these white outlines. So what you can see is that we've made this small change for accessibility reasons, but just look how much better the image looks in and of itself. So I'm going to describe this sign and how it looks. We have some bold text here, and we used a sans serif font. We use a sans serif font. That means it has no little like serifs are the little edges like on Times New Roman. And so this makes it a little bit easier to read with folks with processing needs. Additionally, we made sure that the letters were spaced out appropriately, and as you can see outlined here. Each of the words was also spaced apart from each other so that it was easier to read. As you can see, we have taken those symbols and we've created a graphic in and of itself inside of this text. So we have the in the white text. Below that, we have future in red that's outlined in white. And below that it says is, and we have our images. And we've lined up all of these inclusive or universal access symbols and created our own image out of these that we threw and we replicated throughout all of our different communication campaigns for the Accessibility Now rally and for Barrier Free Alberta. And below that, we have the final word, which is inclusive in that red text with the white outline. And underneath all of our signs, we have a hashtag and it will say Barrier Free Alberta. It was really important for us to make sure that we capitalize the first letter of each word in a hashtag because it does make it easier for folks to be able to read this when they have dyslexia or other visual processing disorders. Moving forward. So we also chose other symbols for our other two text art signs. We added these images of a clock, which we'll see fully soon, that indicates the urgency of our call for action. And the text will be time for accessibility now. We also chose a megaphone, which is a well-known symbol of advocacy and using group voice to make social change. So we added this to our access rights, our human rights posters. So what we see here are the other iterations of this campaign branding that we did for the Accessibility Now rally that we're pushing forward for the rest of our calls to action with Barrier Free Alberta. I was really lucky because the committee did give me freedom to design the signs in my art style. Conceptualizing digital collage is a lot like print collage, but like most things digital, the process is quicker, and using Canva and Photoshop and whatnot is faster than using paper and cutting tool and glues. So this allowed us to quickly change some of the elements to make them more accessible. What I'm going to talk about the sign to the right first, and that's the one that says time for accessibility now, that showcases how I use some of my art style, which is influenced a lot by like punk rock, comic books, DIY zines, or do-it-yourself magazines, pop art, collage, and graffiti. So you'll see images here like our clock. Above our clock, we have time for in red outlined in white. And below the clock, it says accessibility now with an exclamation mark. And below that, our hashtag Barrier Free Alberta. I'm going to focus in on this clock here. And the clock is actually layers of several different images, so I could make it more accessible. The clock face, for example, is a different graphic that I added on top of this original graphic here. And the motion lines, that these zigzags that are in yellow and outlined in white, those were added as well to indicate sound. I thought it was kind of beautiful to be able to indicate something like sound in a visual way in our signs here. And that's something that we copied and pasted, so to speak, over to our sign here to the left, which is access rights or human rights. And those letters are again in sans serif font, and we have them alternating in white and red with white outline, so on and so forth, all the way to our barrier-free Alberta down in white. Here we can see the image of the megaphone, and the megaphone again is in black and white, but we do have these yellow motion lines indicating sound and noise. You can see these are commonly used in comic books and other graphic storytelling mediums. And other elements that you can see here, like the dot shading, this is called Ben-Day dots. Those are also commonly used in comic books, and it was a cost-saving tool originally for print. That's another reason that I wanted to kind of go with this art style. It's true to me because if you look around with these, not only are we creating an outline for some of these images, but we're replicating this DIY cutout collage concept, which is how a lot of posters were made prior to digital art. People would take other printed materials, cut and paste it onto a piece of paper, and then photocopy it when we had that technology. And they were able to make a lot of different pieces of documents that were creative and made from other elements. And they were able to distribute the messages very, very quickly. You'll also notice this in old 80s punk rock signs and posters for shows. All of these things end up being overtly political, and the tone of the images not only were accessible, but they spoke to what we wanted to do, which was to advocate for accessibility now. We're going to move forward. So it wasn't just my art style that was on these signs. We also had other folks in the community that we connected with in our committee, and we were inspired by common access signs. So what we see here is I have on either end, on the left and right, top and bottom corners, we see some orange elements that are coming down as a decorative element to the slide. And in between, and to the left, we have an indigo rectangular sign that has the white image of a person in a wheelchair. And below that, it says accessible, and what I think it says accessible in Braille. And I hope that's correct. And to the right, we have another sign that says, in case of fire, use stairs. And this is a different kind of blue. And there's a picture of a person walking downstairs and what looks like a fire underneath these stairs. And in all caps, we have something that says, in case of fire, use stairs. So we were able to meld these ideas and create imagery that communicated majorly powerful messages. So one of the things about the visual communication and the strong visual processing that I have was, what can we do and can we create together to make an impactful image in about 2 seconds? We want something to speak 1,000 words, and we want it to be accessible in many different ways, but we also want it to be as impactful and powerful as possible. And what we learned is we do not need to sacrifice impact and power for accessibility. In fact, the accessibility and working that in throughout this process and collaborating with one another is what made this process so successful. We use the same kind of signage idea here to urge fellow Albertans to join the Barrier-Free Alberta movement. And this signage here is the Barrier-Free Alberta logo, which is in a teal and a dark green, and it's 3 triangles representing mountains. And above that, we have a yellow-orange triangle with 2 yellow trees and what looks like a lightning bolt or a little crack in the mountain there. And below that, that'll say Barrier Free Alberta, and the text says join the movement. And once again, at the bottom of our sign, we have our repetition of the hashtag Barrier Free AB. So what we did with those hashtags and these signs is we were able to reorganize and reformat them for social media. So we resized them, but we also reorganized the text and where the images were, so it made sense for the sign. So in addition to the signage itself, we have additions on each of these which say, tell us when our accessibility rally is. So it says accessibility now, Saturday, September 28th, Calgary and Edmonton, 1:30 to 2:30, and we have repeating images of these link in bio. We use these repeating images in different colors because we're trying to brand and we're trying to build something so that people, when they see us, they go, oh, that's probably Barrier Free Alberta. We know what their style's like. We also animated these signs for social media and reels. Slowly they will play. All right, cool. So the purpose of animating these is kind of threefold. It allows us to jump on different algorithms for reels and videos and get the message out to more people. It's a fun way to play with these images. And again, it's about branding. We want this to brand very specifically, knowing that we are the people, we are Barrier Free Alberta. This is us. This is what we look like. This is what we do. So these images, how they're kind of flying in as each graphic element is moving in and of itself. So some of them are popping, some of them look like they are being typed by a typewriter, and they're flying in and out. We've also animated the fire under the in case of fire, use stairs image. So it actually looks like there is a moving fire there. And you can see up top and below is we have our link in bio again, our Barrier Free Alberta logo, and our branding, our hashtags, and where you can find us on social media at Barrier Free AB. And last but not least, or almost last, I guess, we printed these, and I was so excited to see these printed. So these are 3 foot tall by 4 foot, or 3 foot tall by 2 foot wide signs. And they were printed on corrugated plastic, which is like the plastic on the lawn signs for politicians and stuff that you see. So we printed it on that because it wouldn't move around in the wind, right? And the folks at CP Alberta were kind enough to mount these for us, so we were able to have these for our rallies in Calgary and Edmonton in September. We also printed them on a hoodie and a t-shirt. We wanted to look at different ways that we could play with this imagery and think about who might be able to see it and why. Some of my first thoughts were, okay, how can we get it on a t-shirt? Would it look good on a hoodie? Would it look good on something that people could wear? And just like, why do people wear band t-shirts? So they can communicate with other people, so they can find people that are interested in the same things they are, and so they can learn about new music. So we see this happening in advocacy quite a bit now, is that it's all over our t-shirts, and it's all over our jackets, and we have pins, and what we wear is really indicative of what we believe. So this was another way of how can we make this pop in different ways. And I want to make sure that design will move seamlessly from digital to print and printed on those different mediums. Okay. The story of our signs is not quite over yet. So we are still using these signs because the only acceptable end to this story is strong and effective accessibility legislation in Alberta. If Alberta chooses to improve accessibility, then people with disabilities will have many more opportunities to become involved in their communities, engage with information and communications, and find meaningful employment. They'll be able to consume goods and services, use public transportation, and physically access public spaces and businesses. Accessibility legislation can greatly improve our lives and the quality of lives for all people with disabilities. So how can we use our voice to send a clear message to our provincial leaders that Alberta needs strong and effective accessibility legislation? Each and every one of you can help today. You can send a message to your Alberta leaders in as little as 1 small minute. Follow the link in the chat that I will send after I finish talking here. Or you can scan this QR code that's on the screen to support accessibility legislation in Alberta. If you've already sent your message, and I know so many of you have been so kind to have already signed this and use your voice, I do challenge you to find a friend or a family member, maybe a colleague, to send this message and to get involved. Let's talk about accessibility. Let's give it teeth. Let's really think about it and talk about it in our everyday lives and not just on days like today. It's so important that we have days like today to celebrate who we are and how we come together, because when we talk about accessibility, we're paving the way to a future that is inclusive and one where we can all access and participate fully in community. We really hope that the government is going to take meaningful steps to ensure Alberta's commitment to accessibility is reflected in enforceable legislation. And if you want to learn more about what we do at Barrier Free Alberta, please feel free to visit our website, follow us on social media, and learn how to sign up to join the movement. And you can receive a BFA badge for your website. Thanks you so much, everyone, for your attention and support. And together we can realize a future that is truly inclusive.
Thank you to everyone who came to celebrate, learn, and ask important questions. For the speakers and artists, thank you for the land acknowledgement. This virtual event would not have been possible without our sponsors, the Premier's Council on the Status of Persons with Disability. Please also put your hands together for the organizers of this virtual gathering, Alberta Accessibility Network, CP Association of Alberta, Alberta Advocacy for Change Together, Calgary Scope Society, Disabled Action Hall, and the Self Advocacy Federation. We hope you can take what you've learned and turn it into action by being informed voters on the issues that matter to you. We'd like to thank the advocates who spoke about these important topics and you for being a great audience. We will share a highlighted recording with a link by email. We also thank Italiano Poliso for the Tim Hortons gift certificates. We will send out an evaluation to your email. If you fill it out before December 18th, you will be entered into a draw for 20 Tim Hortons cards. The link is also in the chat if you want to get a head start. One final announcement. Alberta Advocacy for Change Together ACT would like to invite you to an upcoming town hall meeting for recent high school graduates or students and their families in January 2025. The topic will be education supports work and which doesn't. We hope to have Damien Travers, the exclusive director of student support, about primary and secondary education of people with disabilities. Please contact ACT at alberta.act@gmail.com for more details, or visit the website www.albertaact.com. And lastly, happy International Day for People with Disability. Thank you for joining and have a great evening.
Chrissy, do people want to see the
sorry, I completely jumped over that.
While I'm setting that up to share, there were a number of people in the chat who wanted to know from Kat whether you can actually get the t-shirts from Barrier Free Alberta, and if so, how?
So I can make this happen. I can absolutely make it happen. I gave my email in there. It's cat.a.hedges@gmail.com. We printed these, just like a couple of them. And if people like them, we'll happily print them again. And I will just have to organize it. But it will be easy to print. I just want to make sure that I can't give prices or anything right now, but it wouldn't be it would either be at cost for everybody in here, or with a nominal like thing that would go towards barrier free Alberta or something. So I will keep the prices as cheap as I can, but just send me an email and we can make it happen. I wasn't trying to sell shirts, but hey, I guess that's what happened.
Well,
Okay,
when you design them after band shirts, you're gonna sell band shirts.
I mean, you're not wrong, Jacob.
so
Sorry,
here,
at cost. Someone meant at cost. What does that mean? It means that it would be the cost to get them printed. So there would be like no profit being made, or rather donation being made towards Barrier Free Alberta or whoever created it. So yeah, for the message.
okay, so this is the word cloud from what people said, and thank you all for sharing what makes you proud. We will have this posted in a number of places over the next while. So certainly if you go to the Albertans Advocating for Change Together website that is listed in the chat, it will be there. It'll be in our newsletter. We will definitely put this up. I think it will be also posted in the websites and blogs for a number of the organizations that are sponsoring this event.
So happy International Day with Persons with Disability. Thank you all for joining and have a great evening. Thank you guys so much. This was really informative. It's the first time I've emceed this. So thank you for the feedback, everybody. I really enjoyed it.